looking at meiosis. Okay, here it is. And I even go through a walkthrough here. You should check that walkthrough out. Okay, meiosis. Notice how these chromosomes are lined up right here. They're lined up right next to each other. That's different. In the mitosis, they were lined up on top of each other. Here, they call these things homologous chromosomes. So that's homologous to this one over here. So in the human body, we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. That means that this is chromosome pair number 1, these two right here. But the information on this chromosome, this green chromosome over here, is different. Let's use this one instead because this one's already been crossed over. This chromosome, let's call this chromosome 2, chromosome pair number 2. This chromosome, this green chromosome, each side of this, they're copies of each other. But this chromosome is just a different version of this chromosome over here. So these are both chromosome 2. Let's say they both code, I don't know what they code for exactly. I should know this, but I don't off the top of my head. Let's say they code for, let's say part of this right here codes for eye color. Okay, so maybe this one over here, this little arm right here codes for blue eyes, and that's blue eyes. And this one's brown eyes and brown eyes. They both code for the color of eyes in chromosome 2. But these are different versions of the chromosome. So they have different information. Okay? So if you split this one over here and that chromosome over there, you're going to lose the brown eye information from the blue eye information. They're going to be split apart from each other. So there's a loss of information there. Okay, now in a human, there are 23 pairs of these chromosomes like this. This is one pair, that's 2, that's 3, and we go all down to 23, making a total of 46 chromosomes. Yeah, that's all I need to say about this. And these right here, these are called homologous chromosomes, meaning that they're the same chromosome number, and they code for the same thing, but maybe different versions of the same thing. So that's why they're called homologous chromosomes. They're like each other, but not exactly the same. Okay. Yeah, let me know if that's confusing at all. And it might be a little bit confusing. It helps to go back and watch the video to read this as well. This is a great one right here, showing you meiosis. You definitely need to know something about this right here. Look at what happens here. We've got this is a pair of homologous chromosomes right here. And they undergo, look at this, they're crossing over. That's one way of getting more genetic variation, as you'll see further in evolution when we talk about evolution. But there's crossing over right there between those two chromosomes, which means that one part of the chromosome is actually swapped with another part of that chromosome. And then they're pulled apart. So there's, after meiosis number 1, the homologous chromosomes are pulled apart to different cells. So at this point, after cell division 1, now there is half the amount of information in the cell. Okay? Now, from over here, this little blue chunk that's still in this red one is now separated from it was somewhat of a duplicate right here, but now since there's a little blue chunk, it's slightly different from this one over here. These two are now separated, and when these separate, there isn't a loss of information, except you could argue if you wanted to. If you really wanted to argue, say, yes, Mr. Sand, this one also loses information because this little piece right here, this red piece, was different from that little tiny blue piece over there, so you've lost some information there. These are not identical to each other. But what we like to say is that the first cell division, at least in intro biology class, we say the first cell division, that's where we lose the information. We say that this right here, this cell, is a diploid. It has all the genetic information of every single cell in your body. And here it's a haploid because these two versions of the same chromosome have been split apart into different cells. So now this cell is a haploid, that is a haploid cell. These cells, since we say they don't lose any information, even though they slightly do, we say that these are haploid cells when they divide as well. So this is a haploid, that's 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 a haploid. Okay? All right. Well, if we want to look at our chart right here, the way we distinguish meiosis from mitosis, we would say that these chromosomes are lined up like this instead. Where here, the homologous chromosomes would be above each other. Here, they're right next to each other. So now, this whole chromosome, this might make it a little bit easier to see. This whole chromosome is pulled to this side. Before, that chromosome was split in half. But in meiosis, this whole chromosome goes over there, that chromosome goes over there, and over there. So now, after meiosis, the first part of meiosis, you half the amount of information in the cell. So that's why we call the resulting cells haploids. So division with loss of info. Okay. All right. So that kind of gets you through meiosis and mitosis, the difference between the two. There are two stages to meiosis, and we see it right here. There's the first stage where the homologous chromosomes split apart, and then the second stage, which is just like mitosis, actually. This stage right here, where these chromosomes are then split further into separate cells. So know the difference between mitosis and meiosis. Know it by heart. Look at this video. This video is good. There's a guy who talks very fast on it. If you can follow him, then you are in good shape. That's really all I have for a review. This should be a fairly straightforward review for you. Let me know if you have any questions about this, and yeah, good luck. The test is only 12 points. You should do well. Okay, happy studying. Bye.